Joining us now from San Jose is Toth, the Vice President for Global Policy for Yahoo. And here in Washington, Justin Bookman, Senior Resident Fellow at the Center for Democracy and Technology. And Justin, thank you both for joining us. Justin, lay out for us just how much of our private personalities, our financial identities, ourselves are regularly harvested online.
So an awful lot, really. So it's not just your financial transactions, it's just even passive browsing of the web, which you might not think as conveying a lot of information about yourself to lots of third parties, but it really does. So if you go to WashingtonPost.com, for example, you might think that the Washington Post might know you're there and remember you're there, but you don't think about the fact that the Washington Post might sell little portions of its web page to lots of other companies. So advertisers have space in the Washington Post too, and they know you're there. And so if that advertiser has space on the WashingtonPost.com, they know all the stories you read on the Washington Post. If they have space on the New York Times, they know all the stories you read on the New York Times, the Miami Herald, and dozens of other, hundreds of or thousands of other sites around the web. So lots of companies you don't really know about or think about can actually aggregate huge amounts of information about you and what kind of person you are and what you like to do online. And they like to use that information for advertising purposes.
What about when we use the personal sites like Facebook or MySpace, in which people are more likely to utter or type out revealing things? Does the archive protect any parts of your personality, or is it all put into the archive?
No, it's pretty much all out there. Once you put something online, it stays there online. There are actually web companies whose job it is to scrape social networking sites in order to develop profiles about you. So there are companies like Rapleaf and Spokeo whose job it is, who they promote their whole business model is to scrape social networking sites in order to learn more and more detailed information about you. And then they go and sell that to marketers. So they might find a company like Nike who wants to find people who say certain things on their social networking site. These companies will go and scrape that information and sell that information to Nike and other marketers about you in order to target you. So when you think you're just sharing with your friends on Facebook or sharing with your friends on MySpace or other sites, you're actually sharing with the whole world.
And Toth, there's actually a Yahoo UK promo or ad that I've seen on YouTube in which Yahoo advertises its ability to cull a herd of various demographic types and pinpoint for marketers or advertisers with remarkable efficiency. What exactly is the service that Yahoo is touting, and how do they do it?
Well, at the end of the day, what Yahoo's trying to do is to make consumer experiences online far more relevant. And that means for the consumer, giving them advertising and content that is interesting to them, and using the internet, which is a highly personal type of interaction and medium, we can customize the types of content and advertising that we show a consumer so that what you see is going to be different than what I see. And I think that's what consumers expect. And it's good for consumers in the standpoint of I get a more relevant experience. So I see content and advertising that I'm more likely to engage with, that's more meaningful to me. And advertisers are more able to reach the audiences that they'd like to reach. So I think it's about trying to give both of those parts of the ecosystem an opportunity to really benefit from customization and what it has to offer on the internet today.
The digital universe is being transformed by the widening popularity of smartphones. Smartphones, many of which have 24/7 GPS locator connections as part of their service package. Justin, how has the smartphone changed the whole universe of privacy questions?
Well, you're definitely right in keying in on the issue of location. That, for us, is probably the #1 issue about mobile phones. I mean, your mobile phone checks into a cell tower every 3 seconds to tell you where you are. So your cell phone knows where you are at all points in time. And right now, the law is confused as far as whether the government can access that or not. And I mean, consumers also don't know whether advertisers are accessing that or not. I mean, we at CDT, and I think most privacy advocates, think that information should only be provided to people on an opt-in basis. If I want my advertisers to know where I am, then I have to make that affirmative choice. Similarly, I don't think that the government should just be able to go to my cell provider or my wireless service online provider and find out where I am at any given point in time. We think that information really should be given only when there's a warrant.
And when it comes to laying out the rule book of who gets to see what information and how they get to use it, one of the things that I've learned in researching this story is that there seems to be unanimous agreement that the American legal and regulatory rule book is technologically way out of date. Do you agree?
Well, I think that technology makes it really challenging to regulate in this area because of the pace of change of technology. So I don't know that I would necessarily say that it's that the rulebook is way out of date, but I think it's that the rulebook has a really hard time keeping up with how fast the world changes around it. When we think about online services, a lot of people a couple of years ago would not have been talking about Twitter, wouldn't have known what it meant to tweet. All of that has changed today, and certainly when you look at the world of smartphones and you look at the way people are engaging with the internet today, it's changing literally real time, day by day. So what we really do need is a framework that's flexible enough to allow for innovation, and in fact to create incentives for innovation is important for business, but also just to recognize that technology is something that moves at the pace of technology, which is to say very rapidly.
Justin, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, are the folks who actually write and run the regs book. They're in the process of trying to recreate the rules of the road. As you watch that process, what to you will be the hallmarks for success of modernizing the rules of the road for the internet?
Right. So right now, the premise that everyone works on is what they call the notice and choice model, that companies put notice that they're going to track you or allow their affiliates to track you way deep in a privacy policy, and you're deemed to have consented to that. That model doesn't work. I think people have found out that people don't really know what the behavioral advertising model is. When they find out about it, they by and large don't like it. So there's been poll after poll of people showing that they don't understand how behavioral advertising works, and they actually don't like a lot of the practices that are in place. Some people might, right? Some people might want relevant ads, and that's totally fine. But the online ad industry has to do a better job of being clear and transparent about how these things work. Google and Yahoo and a lot of other leading companies have done a better job, but I think the hallmark of any framework would have to be better transparency, letting people know up front how they're getting information, how they're sharing the information, and also access. You know, if a company, especially one I don't know, has a large profile about me, I should be able to see that profile and see what it says about me. Yahoo's done a good job of being a leader in that area of making your profile available to people. More and more companies, online and offline, need to be doing that too.
And we're running out of time, but what would you add or subtract from Justin's FTC checklist?
Well, I would say that, you know, in large part I agree that transparency and control are really important, and we've been working on that at Yahoo. As Justin's mentioned, we've been testing a model of providing icons in advertising to give consumers ready access to privacy information about how behavioral advertising works, and then offer them tools like our Ad Interest Manager that shows them the content of their advertising profile and allows them to interact with that. So I think the goal for us and for online companies generally is to provide consumers with a more relevant experience in a trusted environment. And I think that the degree of transparency and control placed in context really does give consumers the best of all possible worlds.
Ann Toth of Yahoo and Justin Bookman of the Center for Democracy and Technology, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.